You believe that goodness will protect you, that kindness will win loyalty. But what if I told you it's the very reason you are exploited, ignored, and betrayed? Today, we uncover the shocking cost of goodness and why Machiavelli believed it is the most dangerous weakness a man can possess. I am Niccolò Machiavelli, and I speak to those who dare to rule their own lives. In a world where weakness is disguised as virtue, and men are punished for being too good, I will reveal to you the hidden truth: goodness has a price, and it is paid in power, respect, and survival. Listen closely, for only a few will dare to accept this truth. The man who is always good can always be anticipated. His enemies know he will forgive, he will compromise, he will yield. To be predictable is to be powerless. When a man decides that his greatest weapon in this world will be his goodness, he unknowingly places shackles upon himself. He creates a set of rules that he dares not break, and in doing so, he allows others to write the script of his life. His behavior becomes obvious, his decisions transparent, and his enemies need only watch him to know what he will do next. Tell me, what advantage does a man have if his actions can be read like an open book? None. His virtue becomes a cage, and his cage becomes the instrument of his downfall. Imagine two men locked in a contest of survival. One has sworn never to deceive, never to betray, never to strike first. The other has sworn nothing. The good man has already announced his every move before the game begins, and the ruthless man listens carefully, smiling, because the battle is won before it is fought. Predictability is death, and goodness, when made into a habit, creates predictability. Even in matters of politics, war, or daily life, those who cling to goodness reveal themselves in advance. They are the men who will always extend a hand, always forgive a debt, always choose patience over retaliation. And because they have drawn these boundaries, others learn how to manipulate them. A rival can insult them without fear of reprisal. A friend can betray them knowing they will be welcomed back. An enemy can retreat today, return tomorrow, and the good man will once again accept peace, as if betrayal had never occurred. Do you see the danger? By being good at all times, the man loses control of the narrative. He no longer chooses when to strike or when to forgive. Others choose for him. They dictate the terms, and he merely responds, bound by the chains of his own virtue. Consider this: the lion may be mighty, but if he roars at the same time every night, the hunter knows where to place the trap. The man who prides himself on his goodness roars in exactly this way. He signals his mercy, his softness, his reluctance to inflict harm. And once signaled, the trap is set. I tell you, the world does not reward the man who is consistent in his goodness. The world rewards the man who can bend, who can change, who can shatter expectations when it suits him. To be feared and respected, one must become unreadable. To be always merciful is to be expected. To be merciful at times and ruthless at others. That is to keep men uncertain, and uncertainty breeds caution. Predictability in the hands of a good man becomes his undoing. His wife knows he will always forgive, so she pushes boundaries until respect vanishes. His companions know he will always be generous, so they take without gratitude. His enemies know he will always hesitate, so they advance with boldness. Slowly, without realizing it, he is stripped of power, of respect, of authority. All that remains is a shell of a man who is loved perhaps, but never truly obeyed, never truly feared. And what is love when it lacks respect? It is a fleeting thing, fragile and conditional. Men love you for as long as you serve them. They respect you only if they believe you can hurt them. The good man, forever predictable, can do neither. He does not inspire awe, he does not inspire fear. He inspires comfort, and comfort is the death of power. You may protest and say, surely goodness creates loyalty. I tell you, loyalty is not built on kindness alone. Loyalty is built on the knowledge that betrayal will be punished. Men see that punishment is certain. They think twice before disobeying. The good man, however, offers only forgiveness. And so his followers betray him not once, but many times, because they know the outcome in advance. They know mercy awaits them, and mercy unearned is nothing but weakness. To rule others, whether a kingdom or simply one's own household, is to keep men guessing. They must never be certain whether your hand will bless them or strike them. For when men cannot predict your actions, they tread carefully, respecting both your kindness and your wrath. But the man who clings to goodness as his only tool is stripped bare. He is obvious, he is open, he is predictable. And the predictable man is already defeated before he ever enters the field. The world is full of wolves dressed as lambs. They will smile at your kindness while sharpening the blade to cut your throat. Goodness, without strength, is nothing but an invitation to be used. The man who relies on goodness alone is like a merchant who leaves his gold unguarded in the marketplace, trusting the honesty of every passerby. He believes that because he has done no harm will come to him. He imagines that others will be grateful for his generosity, respectful of his fairness, protective of his kindness. But men are not angels, and the world is not a sanctuary. It is a field of hunger where each man seeks to feed upon the weakness of another. To be good without strength is not to be virtuous. It is to be bait. Every gesture of goodness becomes a signal to the opportunist. The more forgiving you are, the more betrayal you invite. The more generous you are, the more greedy hands gather at your table. The more patient you are, the more insults are thrown at you. A man who does not defend his goodness with force does not inspire admiration. He inspires calculation. Others begin to measure how much they can take from him, how far they can push him, how much advantage can be carved out of his softness. Consider the courtier who bows, flatters, and praises the nobleman known for his kindness. The courtier smiles with loyalty, but in his heart, he sees only opportunity. He knows that when he errs, he will be forgiven. He knows that when he asks for favors, they will be granted. He knows that when resources are scarce, the nobleman will deny himself before denying another. And so the courtier grows bold, daring, manipulative. He exploits the goodness of his master, not because he is loyal, but because he is clever enough to see the opening. In every kingdom, in every family, in every friendship, the same law applies. Where there is unchecked goodness, there will be exploitation. The son who knows his father will always forgive grows reckless. The wife who knows her husband will always yield grows dismissive. The friend who knows forgiveness will always follow betrayal grows careless. These people are not evil by nature, but they are human, and human nature bends towards self-interest. Goodness without consequence removes the barriers that keep self-interest in check. Do not be fooled by appearances. Men will take from you with gratitude in their words and contempt in their hearts. They will say, "You are noble, you are kind, you are generous," but behind these words is only the calculation of how much more they can draw from your well before it runs dry. And when it does run dry, when you have nothing more to give, they will not stay by your side. They will leave, searching for another fountain of unchecked generosity. Goodness did not buy their loyalty, purchased only their appetite. The man who does not understand this truth believes he is admired for his virtue. He sees smiles, he hears praise, and he imagines that love is his reward. But love built on convenience is an illusion. They do not love the good man. They love what they can extract from him. His goodness is a resource, like a tree that bears fruit. Men come not to honor the tree, but to strip it bare. And when the tree has no more fruit to give, they turn their backs and walk away. This is why goodness must always be armed with strength. For strength sets the boundary that keeps opportunists at bay. Mercy without the threat of punishment invites exploitation. Generosity without the ability to withdraw it at will becomes servitude. Forgiveness without the option of wrath becomes permission. The world is filled with wolves, and wolves do not honor the lamb for its gentleness. They devour it. Only the lamb who disguises himself as a wolf survives among predators. The clever man learns this early. He may appear generous, but he is selective. He may forgive only once. He may give, but with conditions. He may show mercy, but always with the silent warning that it cannot be demanded. This balance keeps opportunists uncertain, and uncertainty is the enemy of exploitation. But the man who is only good, without this balance, lives his life surrounded by smiling thieves who bow while they plunder. Men admire strength, not kindness. They respect power, not mercy. To be feared without hatred is safer than to be loved without respect. A respect is the coin of true power. Without it, love is fragile, loyalty is uncertain, and authority dissolves at the first test. Yet the man who clings to goodness as his chief weapon finds that respect slips through his fingers, for kindness alone is not enough to command the minds of men. It may earn him affection, it may win him smiles, but it does not secure the obedience that real power requires. To be loved without respect is to be cherished only until convenience demands otherwise. Observe carefully how people treat the man known only for his goodness. They speak warmly of him. They call him generous, merciful, forgiving. They praise him in his presence and flatter him in his absence. But in the moment of conflict, when his will collides with the will of others, where is the respect? It vanishes. They argue with him openly. They resist him boldly. They disobey him without fear, for they know that his kindness shields them from punishment. They know that his mercy strips his words of weight. They love him, perhaps, but they do not bow to him. Love without respect breeds contempt. Think of the father who indulges his children in all things, never raising his voice, never enforcing his authority. The children may adore him for his softness. They may run to him for comfort, but when he commands, they ignore. They have love for him, but no respect. Compare this to the father who disciplines with a steady hand, who rewards but also punishes, who is kind but also firm. His children may not always smile in his presence, they obey, for his authority is anchored in respect, not merely in affection. The same law governs nations, armies, and households. A ruler who seeks only to be loved will eventually be despised, for his lack of strength makes his love feel cheap. He is like a coin made of clay, shiny at first, but worthless when tested. Men admire strength because it forces them to measure their own weakness. Mercy is admired only when it comes from the hand that could destroy but chooses not to. Mercy without power is not mercy at all. It is simply impotence disguised as virtue. Look to history, and you will see the same lesson written in blood. The kings who relied on their charm, who sought only the love of their people, were the first to be overthrown when famine came, when war broke, when danger tested the kingdom. Their people loved them when times were easy, but love did not hold firm against hunger, against fear, against ambition. Yet those rulers who commanded respect, even without affection, saw their thrones endure, for fear and respect are anchors that hold firm even when the storm rages. Consider also the friend who is always agreeable, always yielding, always accommodating. At first, he is loved, because he offers no challenge, no resistance, no friction. But over time, his value diminishes. He is seen not as a man of character, but as a man of weakness. His words carry no weight, his advice is ignored, his presence taken for granted. His goodness becomes invisible, and in its invisibility, he loses respect. Meanwhile, the friend who speaks hard truths, who sets boundaries, who can be generous but also stern, earns a different kind of regard. His words cut deeper, his presence commands attention, his respect endures. Do not mistake this truth, it is not cruelty that earns respect, but strength. Cruelty breeds hatred, and hatred destroys loyalty. But strength, balanced with measured goodness, creates a fear that does not turn into resentment. To be feared without being hated, to be loved without being mocked. This is the delicate art that goodness alone cannot achieve. A man who is only good may be liked, even adored, he will never be taken seriously. His kindness is consumed like sweet wine, but respect is reserved for the man who holds the power to deny it. The paradox is this: men will betray the one they love if they do not respect him, but they will obey the one they respect even if they do not love him. Respect outlives affection. It outlasts gratitude. It endures where kindness fades. The good man is remembered fondly, perhaps, but he is rarely obeyed. And obedience, not affection, is the foundation of power. A ruler must act according to necessity, not virtue. When survival is at stake, the good man hesitates, while the ruthless man seizes advantage. The good man dies with honor, the ruthless man lives with power. A life is not governed by ideals, but by circumstances. Men dream of a world where virtue rules, where justice triumphs, where goodness is rewarded. But the world is not shaped by dreams, it is shaped by necessity. And necessity cares nothing for virtue. It does not pause for mercy, it does not respect morality, it does not bend to kindness. Necessity demands action, swift and decisive, even if that action violates every principle the good man clings to. Here lies the tragedy of the one who builds his life upon goodness alone. When the hour of necessity arrives, he falters. He measures what must be done against what should be done. He hesitates, torn between survival and virtue, and in that hesitation, he loses everything. The ruthless man, by contrast, does not hesitate. He knows that in times of crisis, morality is a luxury, and survival is the law. He acts as the moment demands, and for this reason, he endures where the good man perishes. Picture the general on the battlefield. His army is cornered, his supplies are dwindling, and his enemy shows no mercy. To win, he must burn the villages of those who harbor his foes, striking terror to secure his supply lines. The good man hesitates. He cannot bring himself to punish the innocent. His conscience restrains his hand, and so his army starves, his men desert, and his enemies march upon him with strength renewed. He loses not because he lacked courage, but because his goodness made him blind to necessity. The ruthless general, however, acts without pause. He would strike not because he delights in cruelty, but because necessity demanded it. His men live, his army strengthens, and his enemies tremble. The same truth holds in daily life far from the battlefield. A merchant must cut ties with a partner who drags him into ruin. The good man hesitates, clinging to loyalty and friendship. He delays until his fortune is gone. The ruthless man acts swiftly, removing the weight that threatens to sink him, preserving his wealth and position. The ruler must silence a rival before he gathers strength. The good man delays, unwilling to act until guilt can justify him. By the time he moves, his rival has become an enemy too powerful to destroy. Goodness blinds men to the harshness of necessity because it makes them believe that virtue can alter reality. They believe that fairness will restrain the ambitious, that mercy will soften the cruel, that patience will tame the aggressive. but necessity is deaf to such illusions. When hunger strikes, when war erupts, when betrayal threatens, men do not think of virtue, they think of survival. And in such moments, the good man is swept aside, for his principles weigh heavier than his will to endure. Even in the smallest matters, necessity and goodness clash. The man who lends to all who ask may be praised for his generosity, but when necessity arrives and he has nothing left for himself, who will praise him then? His creditors will not. His family will not. They will curse his name for being too virtuous to survive. The man who refuses to cut ties with a treacherous friend, who forgives endlessly, finds himself alone when necessity strikes, for those who exploited him have moved on to exploit others. His goodness left him unprepared for the moment, when only strength could save him. Men speak often of honor, but what is honor to the man who is destroyed? They say, he was noble, he was virtuous, he was too good for this world. And perhaps that is true. But is it not better to be feared and alive than honored and dead? Is it not better to act as necessity demands and preserve one's power than to cling to ideals that crumble in the face of reality? The ruthless man does not reject goodness entirely. He uses it when it is useful. But he never allows goodness to stand in the way of what must be done. He understands that necessity writes the law of survival, and to disobey that law is to invite ruin. The good man, chained to his virtue, obeys a law that exists only in his imagination. And when imagination collides with necessity, it is always imagination that breaks. The good man believes others think as he does, fair, loyal, and honest. This illusion blinds him. He misjudges the treacherous, for he cannot imagine treachery. Thus, he becomes its victim. The greatest flaw of the good man is not merely that he is too forgiving, too merciful, too yielding. It is that his goodness infects his very judgment. He sees the world not as it is, but as he wishes it to be. He believes that because he values loyalty, others must value loyalty. Because he tells the truth, others must be truthful. Because he keeps his promises, others will surely keep theirs. His mind becomes a mirror reflecting his own virtues, and in this reflection, he mistakes his image for reality. But men are not bound by the virtues he clings to. Many are driven by ambition, by greed, by hunger for power. They smile while plotting betrayal, they swear loyalty while sharpening the knife. And the good man, blinded by his belief in fairness, does not see it. He assumes honesty where there is deceit, loyalty where there is calculation, friendship where there is opportunity. His goodness dulls his instincts, and instincts dulled are the death of wisdom. Consider the man who lends his trust too quickly. Because he himself is faithful, he believes that others are as well. He hands over his secrets, his wealth, his opportunities. At first, all seems well. His trust is met with smiles, oaths, gestures of loyalty. Soon, betrayal comes. Not from an enemy, but from the very friend he believed incorruptible. The signs were always there, yet he could not see them, for his goodness corrupted his ability to judge. He assumed that what was inside his heart must also be inside the hearts of others. He forgot that men rarely act from virtue when self-interest offers greater rewards. Even in politics, this blindness is fatal. A ruler who sees through the eyes of goodness mistakes rivals for allies. He believes in treaties that will be broken, in promises that will be discarded the moment they no longer serve the one who made them. His court becomes filled with flatterers who wear the mask of loyalty, while in secret, they plot his downfall. The good ruler is betrayed not because betrayal is rare, but because he could not imagine it. He could not bring himself to believe that others did not share his moral code. In war, the same truth unfolds. A commander who expects mercy from his enemies because he would have shown mercy is already defeated. He cannot conceive of cruelty because cruelty is foreign to his heart. Yet cruelty is a weapon his enemy wields without hesitation. The good commander bargains with illusions, while the ruthless commander deals in reality. Reality always triumphs over illusion. The corruption of judgment extends even further into family, into friendships, into every corner of human life. The husband who believes his wife could never betray him ignores the subtle signs, the late hours, the hidden looks. The partner who believes his companion could never deceive him ignores the inconsistencies, the whispered lies, the quiet greed. When betrayal finally comes, they cry, "I never expected it." But the truth is they did not want to expect it. Their goodness blinded them to what necessity should have revealed. Men often say that it is better to trust than to live in suspicion. They believe suspicion poisons the soul. But I tell you, blind trust poisons judgment far more. Suspicion keeps a man alert, sharp, aware of danger. Blind trust lulls him into complacency, convinces him that all is well while the knife inches closer to his throat. It is better to be accused of cynicism than to be destroyed by naivety. Goodness corrupts judgment because it creates false expectations. The good man expects gratitude for his kindness, and when none is given, he is shocked. He expects loyalty for his mercy, and when betrayal follows, he is broken. He expects fairness in exchange for his honesty, and when deceit answers, he is outraged. He mistakes what should be for what is, and in this mistake, he builds his downfall with his own hands. The ruthless man does not suffer from this blindness. He assumes that betrayal is always possible, that loyalty is always conditional, that honesty is always fragile. He sees men as they are, not as he wishes them to be, and because he expects treachery, he is rarely surprised by it. His judgment is sharp because it is not clouded by illusions of goodness. He may still trust, but his trust is measured. He may still show mercy, but his mercy is deliberate. He may still believe in loyalty, but he knows loyalty lasts only as long as interest binds it. The memory of kindness fades quickly, but the memory of power endures. Good deeds are expected, forgotten, and unappreciated. Strength, however, is remembered with fear and respect for generations. Goodness, when it stands alone, is fragile, shines brightly in the moment, but like a candle in the wind, it flickers and dies, leaving no trace. Men enjoy the warmth of kindness, but they do not treasure it. They take it as their due, as if it were owed to them, and once received, they forget it ever happened. What they do not forget is the presence of strength. Strength marks them, it carves itself into memory, it lingers long after the moment has passed. A ruler may spend years feeding the hungry, forgiving debts, and granting mercy to those who offended him. For a time, his people will cheer. They will call him noble, generous, beloved. But the moment hardship returns, when hunger strikes again or enemies gather at the border, his goodness will be forgotten. The same people who once praised him will curse his weakness, saying he should have prepared better, should have been stronger, should have anticipated danger. His mercy will not save him when necessity calls for strength, and his past kindness will buy him no loyalty. Think of the man who devotes himself to his friends. He sacrifices, he forgives, he gives more than he takes. At first, he is loved, but over time, his efforts become invisible. His generosity becomes expected, his forgiveness taken for granted. When he is finally unable to give, when he asks for something in return, his friends scatter. His goodness is forgotten because it was never respected, only consumed. And in the end, he is left with nothing but the faint memory of sacrifices no one else remembers. Strength, however, never fades from memory. The man who punishes betrayal swiftly is feared long after the punishment is over. The ruler who crushes a rebellion with decisive force is respected for decades, even by those who once despised him. The father who enforces discipline is obeyed even when absent, for his children know his authority does not vanish when his back is turned. Power leaves an imprint on the mind that goodness cannot. Mercy may touch the heart for a moment, but fear and respect govern behavior for a lifetime. It is not that kindness has no place. Kindness, when paired with strength, becomes valuable. Mercy shown by a powerful man carries weight, because it is a choice, not a weakness. Men remember it precisely because it could have been otherwise. A ruler who spares a defeated enemy after proving his dominance is admired for his mercy. A ruler who spares without ever proving his strength is simply dismissed as soft. Mercy without strength dissolves into nothingness. Mercy with strength becomes legend. History shows countless examples of this truth. The kings remembered for their greatness are not those who were only good, but those who were powerful. Their acts of kindness were remembered only because they were framed by acts of strength. Alexander conquered before he showed mercy. Caesar struck fear before he forgave. Their generosity mattered because it came from a position of power. Strip away the strength, and the goodness would have been forgotten, like the countless nameless rulers who gave and forgave until no one remembered them. Even in ordinary life, the same principle rules. A teacher who is endlessly kind but never demands discipline becomes invisible to his students. They forget his efforts, they mock his weakness, they exploit his patience. The teacher who is firm, who commands authority, finds that his occasional kindness is remembered vividly. His students know it is rare, that it is deliberate, that it comes from a place of control rather than helplessness. The memory of that goodness endures because it is framed by strength. Men are not moved by what is given to them freely, but by what is withheld until earned. Goodness poured out without measure is forgotten like water spilled upon the ground. Strength, by contrast, strikes the stone and leaves a scar that does not fade. If you wish to be remembered, do not rely on kindness alone. For kindness without strength will vanish the moment it is consumed, and men will look upon you not as a benefactor, but as a man who could be taken advantage of. Now you see the hidden truth. Goodness, when left unguarded, does not protect you, it destroys you. It makes you predictable, invites exploitation, weakens respect, clashes with necessity, corrupts your judgment, and, without strength, is forgotten. The world does not reward those who cling blindly to virtue. The world rewards those who master it, who wield it as a tool rather than wear it as a chain. Be good when it serves you. Be merciful when it strengthens your hand. But when necessity demands, strike without hesitation. For only he who balances kindness with ruthlessness, mercy with power, and love with fear will endure. To survive is not enough. You must command, you must be remembered, you must rule. And this is the shocking cost of goodness.